you see it already? Or?
Yeah, I can see. You've got my little banner thing taking up half the screen
Where?
because it's showing me what you see, right? Okay, it's never mind. I got it.
Okay.
Okay. Your mid versus Zed.
Mm-hmm.
Can you pause?
Yep.
Okay. Can you click F2 or F1 to disable fog of war or to enable the fog of war, right? So you only see the other one. You know what I mean? Okay, there you go. And then so the matchups, you have to think how these are going to go. So how do you think your team's going to be doing walking in a lane?
Well, my Jinx is she's pretty good. Like I was thinking she had the advantage in the bot lane. Just the way she was talking and her I don't know. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking bot lane was gonna win. I was thinking Maokai is pretty busted top lane, so I figured the lane wouldn't really go anywhere.
Okay.
And then jungle, I had no idea. Kha'Zix is stronger, I think, but I guess jungler depends on the jungler. It's like way more.
Okay, so you know Kha'Zix does 3 camps and then ganks. That's what he prefers to do, right? He does buff, camp, buff, and then he ganks a lane. Or he takes scuttle and then ganks a lane, right?
Yeah. I don't know specifically, but I know he's just an aggressive jungler early.
So
So
you don't know like the clears for most junglers?
no, like you put me in jungle, like I might as well be in like bronze.
Okay. That would be something that would be good to know. But maybe not something to focus on right now. But that is something that you have to think about in games.
Like I know that like at 3 minutes, like around that time.
Yeah,
That's when
as a rule of thumb, 3 minutes is when junglers gank. Right.
pathing and stuff. Not really my thing. I usually have an idea like if it's where they're going to be starting, like if they're going to be starting red or blue, but that's kind of all. That's where my thing ends. Like
Okay.
I'm not a jungler.
So you've got to think. Some junglers, or like I'll say most junglers, want to do buff, camp, buff, and then gank a lane. That's where you get the 3 minutes. The junglers at top lane or the junglers at mid lane or whatever, right? And it changes based on which jungler it is, because some junglers clear very quickly, like Ezreal and Nidalee and Kayn, right? They can finish that clear in like 2 minutes 20 seconds, get to your lane at like 2:30 or 2:40, so it can take you by surprise sometimes. Or they'll clear really fast and they'll go contest your jungler's second buff. And in the future, I'd want you to get better at knowing what the jungler's ideal clears are going to be, what they're going to be doing, so that you're prepared for what's happening, because that'll affect which side of the lane you're standing on. In mid lane, this is way more important than in top lane, because there are 2 bushes on the sides, right, where they can walk up to you from.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're standing on the wrong side and you're hugging, like for instance, the bottom side,
mm-hmm.
and the jungler wants to come from the bottom side, it's a lot harder for you to get away from that gank, right? Like if it's in Elise, she just throws cocoon at you from the bush, and then you're screwed, or you burn sums or something.
Yeah.
As opposed to if you're standing on the other side of the bush, right, or the other side of the lane. So that's something that you'll want to look at. So by default, this Kha'Zix is probably going to start red buff and get leashed by his bot lane, right?
Yes. Are you asking me a question? Okay.
Yes. So he's going to start red buff and get leashed by his bot lane, and then he's going to want to go to his wolves, and then his blue, and then he'll be around the top side river, and he'll either take scuttle and then gank, or he'll just gank. Most higher elo junglers will take the scuttle first, because it's like getting a free ward.
I'm pretty sure that actually happens.
Yeah. So then you'll expect Kha'Zix's clear is, I mean, he finishes his blue buff around 2 minutes 28 seconds, and then his clear will be, he'll be ganking you around like 250 or something, if he goes like straight for the mid gank after scuttle, or You know,
Mm-hmm.
Udyr Udyr has more options. He could do a full clear. It's hard to say because unless you like know the player, right? But you have to assume maybe he's going to be doing buff, camp, buff. But you can see since he's on your team, you know what his clear is, right? Because you can just look at the map and see where he is. So you have to think if he decides to do like blue, Gromp, then wolves, then race, then red, like he's not going to be helping anybody out. He's not going to be ganking. So if Kha'Zix shows up on the map, you can't expect any help from Udyr because he's going like just the full clear route where he's not having any pressure on the map, right? Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, it does.
Okay, so some junglers like have to do that, right? Like they can't gank anyways. Like Nocturne, you know, his ganks are pretty like shitty until he gets ultimate. Same with like Master Yi and stuff. So
okay, so and like Lee Sin would be someone who would just do 3 camps and
yes,
go gank.
Yes. So yeah, try and get. There is there's a spreadsheet on Reddit. I could find it after this session and send it to you that has like all the times for every jungler. And you could, I mean, either memorize it or just like kind of group them into like these camps. Just do 3 camp gank and then.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, because it will, and you'll have to think like which side of the map they're going to end up on, right? And it helps to like go in and ward, right? It's a big difference between Kha'Zix starting on his blue buff and then doing wolves and then red, and doing red and then wolves and then blue buff because it puts him on the opposite side of the map. So if you're standing on the wrong side and he jumps on you, you take more damage than you have to, right?
And I can definitely that's definitely something to think about that I actually don't think about is that like when I go to ward the side bush, I would just put it on any side.
Yeah.
And then like just hope they would go on that side essentially.
Yeah.
Or I would like play more to that side on my lane and less on the unwarded bush.
You do want to play more to the warded side, right? But you want to ward the side the jungler's not on, ideally, and play next to the other side. I mean, you can if you know that Kha'Zix is going red, wolves, blue, you can ward your top side river bush to see him, right? But what's actually better for like competitive and stuff is to ward the bottom side because it gives you information on like the support roaming because you already know where Kha'Zix is.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Yeah.
But
I feel like it
either
also
way.
helps bot lane too. Yeah. To know if they're bot side.
Yeah. Because if you already know Kha'Zix's top side, you're going to be hugging the bottom part of the brush anyways, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where you need the safety ward in the bottom brush because you don't have any information on that side of the map. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, let's start.
Oh wait, that wasn't it. Can we pause again? Okay, so your analysis of the matchups, the Jinx Veigar versus the Jhin Nami, I actually thought it was a very bad matchup for your team. Veigar doesn't provide much early on, right? He has his little cage and his like, I mean, he can choose either his W or his Q, but they both ultimately do the same thing. They're just a damage ability with like no utility attached to it at all. So Veigar early on is pretty useless. And Jinx early on is just auto attacks, right? Jhin has, like his 4th shot is almost an ability, and his Q is an ability that he can use in between auto attacks. So he'll just win the trades earlier on compared to Jinx. So will Nami, right? Because Nami's abilities, they do damage, but they also have utility on them. So your bot lane, if they overextend, they'll die. I'm thinking, so they're going to have to find a way to keep the lane like near their tower and hope for ganks. Top lane, though, Illaoi, if she's against a tank, she will just auto-win the game, pretty much, if she's left alone. Because she'll generate a huge gold advantage, as well as bully the tanks.
With Klepto?
So, yeah, with Klepto. And just in general, like, the tanks don't do enough damage to beat Illaoi, especially when she gets, like, ultimate and then Black Cleaver, right? Because she just tentacle slaps them down and out-heals their damage. Even 2v1, right? So you should think Zed most likely is going to be looking to. Oh wait, no. I don't think you can say anything about that. But your top side should be winning. Your bot side should be losing.
Okay. Yeah. So for like specifically going into my matchup, I took stopwatch.
Yeah.
because why not? It's no brainer. And like I was thinking, so avoid getting poked out as much as I can, and as long as I do that, I pretty much just win the trades. But I wasn't going into it going like, okay, I want to kill him. I was mostly just trying to farm it until I get like a little bit of power spikes, because I find that um, I make it to mid game more often, like ahead when I just focus on farming and let them be aggressive and like kind of just
Punish the aggression.
yeah. So like he goes up to trade, that's when I get a Q in, and I just continue CSing or however it plays out. But when I go up for usually when I go up for the Qs or the trades, they kind of just back away, and it kind of just usually puts me in a bad situation. So I'll just let them do it, and I'm more useful just getting to. I find that I'm more useful to just make it to mid game and not be extremely behind than it is to, risk getting an early lead.
Yeah, that is true, but the problem is that it's not that playing aggressive is bad, it's that you're doing it incorrectly. You're going up at the wrong times. You need to go up at times where it's really going to impact the enemy. Or like when you don't just walk up to Zed when your Q's off cooldown. You walk up to Zed when your Q's off cooldown and he needs to move up for a minion, right? So when he goes for that minion, he's got to pay with like 100 life or something, right?
Especially like when I especially when I see cannon minions about to die and he's about to go up for it. Like if I have my empowered Q, I'll 100% go to block him from CSing. Even if I don't hit the Q, he still has to back away, otherwise he's going to take a chunk of damage. So
yeah, exactly. But playing passive and getting the lane in a position that's good for you is better. Yeah, winning through CS and just like playing smart is the way to go.
Although this ended up kind of like my CS ended up not being that good.
What keystone are you running here?
Spellbook.
Okay. I would say I would have taken a Dark Seal over the Doran Shield because this is a matchup you win, and having the extra AP will give you a lot more pressure on him.
Okay.
How do you think Zed is approaching this matchup?
He wants to kill me.
He wants to kill you, so he thinks he's by default ahead and will win the lane?
No, but essentially his opening to kill me is, well, he wants to hit a lot of his electrocutes. He has electrocute, so he's going to keep trying to proc that. And once he hits ulti, he's definitely going to want to kill me if like my pool. It's essentially if I pool wrong, that's when he kills me. So like if I blow my pool, then I'm stupid and I deserve to die.
So when does he start beating you in trades?
I'd say when my pool's down. If I don't know, that's hard to answer.
Okay, I'll tell you how Zed is approaching this matchup. Like if I were the Zed, I would think I'm starting my Shuriken, right? And what I have to do is I have to mitigate like the level 1 damage I take, because Vladimir's ranged. He has ranged auto attacks, but also he has his ranged ability that deals damage and heals him. So if I trade Q for his Q, it's not going to be good for me, right?
Because I'm just going to do damage and heal it.
Yeah. As well as every time I come up from minions, Vlad can get auto attacks on me, and I can't respond with my own auto attacks because he's longer range. So level 1, I'm pretty much not going to be walking up to the minion wave. I'm going to be walking up to auto attack minions, to last hit minions only, and then try and throw a shuriken at Vlad. Or if, in the case of his empowered Q, or he hits level 2 there, but while I'm still level 1, which is likely going to happen, I'm just going to be shurikening from minions. And then at level 3, when I have all of my abilities, that's when I can look for some aggression. Before then, I have to play like a total bitch against Vladimir. That's kind of how the matchup goes. And if you see, this is why you'd want to run Dark Seal, because he has to play around you. You don't necessarily have to play around him for the first 2 levels of the game. To where you can get a big advantage. If he makes any mistakes, if he walks up for minions like at the beginning, he'll get punished a lot if you're playing correctly.
Do you think that taking level 2, do you think taking E's the better option,
Yes.
knowing that Kha'Zix is gonna gank early? Or
Yeah.
would that be by level 3, or would that be
If
by
you
time?
chose to go mid at like the 3 minute gank rate, you'd be level 2. But as long as you're standing on the right side of the lane, you know, you're
Yeah.
standing
Okay.
towards the bottom, there's no way he can get that gank off.
Okay.
Even if you're standing in the middle, Kha'Zix doesn't have a way to like close the gap on you that well. But um, so I mean, Vladimir is a counter to Zed, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because most Zed one tricks will ban Vladimir because it's just impossible to lose against it's impossible to win against a competent Vladimir because they can just negate all of your kill pressure while still being able to kill the Zed, come out with a CS lead regardless. Okay, we can start. Okay, so one of the reasons to go for an invade, like they're kind of like sort of half-assed going for an invade, is to see where the enemy jungler is starting, right?
Mhm.
So you can get a better idea of whether the Kha'Zix is starting red buff or blue buff if you, like, for instance, see him standing next to red buff there. And that can give you some insight onto where you need to be positioning in the lane around 3 minutes. So it's kind of nice to go for the invade, especially if you have stronger level 1. Like if you had a Braum here instead of a Vigar, the invade would have been really cool.
Unless they ever Blitzcrank.
I mean, Braum beats... Braum is the best support to have for an invade.
Really?
Yeah, because his passive... You know, imagine when you have 5 people stacked up, they instantly proc the Braum passive, they get stunned, and he can put that on every single person, right? You know?
Yeah.
Like, there's no cooldown on Braum passive. And he can start Q, too, you know, so... Yeah. I see what you're saying here about you standing back, but I think you're letting him off too free. Like I was saying, Zed can't walk up to the minion wave without you punishing him, you know? And there's not that punish here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, playing like this will secure you farm, right? But when you get better, you'll be able to farm well and secure like the lane in a good spot for you while also ruining the lane for the enemy opponent, right?
That's a weird.
Yeah, so playing like this will get you both at like 100 CS at 10 minutes. That was good, that was good. Can you click O? Okay. And so you see there he is, he came from the top side, right?
I think he does something really weird here. I don't know if I needed the flash there, but I did to be safe.
That's okay. You have spellbook as well as it could have potentially been a kill if Kha'Zix was able to proc electrocute and then Zed flash ignited you and maybe threw a shuriken. Plus he had level 3, right? So you're good. Whenever you have some time, you can also think like where can Kha'Zix gank, right? When you look at your map, can Kha'Zix dive bot lane? Probably not, right? Can Kha'Zix get a gank on Illaoi? Maybe actually, but probably not. So where you think Kha'Zix would be, probably you know, if he did like his wraiths and then backed and then got his jungle item, he'd probably be in between mid and top lane, you know, because those are the only ganks
I was
where.
thinking just based on where he was walking, I thought he was just going to go bot lane, which I think he did.
You went bot lane for like a counter gank? I would think he would just farm his jungle camps over there, like the wraiths and all that, right? because you know he goes buff, wolves buff, and then so his wraiths are still up, his Krugs are still up, so he's probably just clearing his wraiths and his Krugs to get enough item for his jungle, enough money for his jungle item. Then he's gonna recall, probably go back to the in between mid and top.
Also, another reason why I got Thorn Shield though is just to help me out with the last inning.
Yeah, I understand that. It's pretty good for that, to be honest.
Until I get a little bit better, I like to just take it.
The Doran Shield's good for that, and it's an okay thing to go into like every matchup. It's just kind of
it's not the best.
Some matchups you can just win harder with the like matchups you're supposed to be winning already. Taking Doran Shield is kind of like, what's the point? But yeah. So I guess you said it right. So in a matchup like this or Echo or something, you would want to, or Katarina, you'd want to have the Dark Seal, because those are matchups you by default win. You notice they're all melees, right? Where they can't outrange your abilities. I hope he killed himself.
Yeah, that was kind of free. And he ignited me.
Yeah, I noticed people started when I started playing like this, where I was playing like, I guess, overly passive, when people would start thinking that they were strong enough to fight me, and they would just take really bad trades. So that was something that was kind of nice. There was also, I even went a little further with that strategy for a bit, where I would never full channel my E, so that I would only like,
told me that, yeah.
Yeah. And so they'd never know the full damage of my combo. Go back. Can we pause? I need to get some more ice.
Go for it.
Okay, I'm good. Let's go. So, where do you think Kha'Zix is here?
Okay, let me just think about it for a second. I think he's most likely top.
Yeah.
He can't really gank bot.
Yeah.
Besides having drag pressure, the only thing would be to counter gank top.
Yep. That's pretty spot on. Should be showing up there soon. You could like blast cone over and then get the counter gank off. You might even get some kills. So then here, do you understand why you wouldn't have want to moved up to that side of the lane? Do you think Kha'Zix is top, right? So you just moved up to the top torch. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I mean, he was bot, like he came from the bot side, but do you understand right here you moved, can you pause? Right here up to this side of the map? You just told me that you thought Kha'Zix was top lane, right?
Yeah.
So if you thought he was right there, you know, he's in between like mid and top maybe, looking to counter gank top. If you're right here at the torch, what happens if Kha'Zix is in that bush at mid? He jumps over and procs electrocute on you instantly.
Yeah.
So you would have want to have stood, you know, more towards the bottom if you think the jungler's top. And of course, once you get better at predicting where the jungler is, like you might make a mistake that, oh, Kha'Zix was actually bot. You can just readjust, you know? And it might just be the player being stupid because, I mean, I thought Kha'Zix wouldn't have been bot lane too, because the best place for him to be would be to counter gank top. He should have already cleared his stuff.
So that was just an inconsistency, but
Yeah.
More likely than not, he should have been top. Okay.
Yeah, so you shouldn't have been positioning towards the top side of the lane because that's, that's favorable for Kazakhs. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't think I was actually thinking about it at the moment, though. To be
Yeah,
fair.
yeah. Yeah. Just in the future, like when you're going for the 1v1s, you want to make sure, like you knew you could win the 1v1 against him, just not.
Like I definitely, if I hit that first E, I would have won this for sure. Actually,
Yeah, I like to save E for pool because it's a lot harder to avoid. A lot of times,
but would you E pool so freely like that if you're about to hit face a level 6 Z? I feel like maybe I should have.
I would E pool whenever he ults me. Whenever he's channeling ult towards me, I just E pool, and then once he lands on top of me, he takes the E. And because when you pool the ult, you don't even get the mark,
I didn't even pool it. When did I even pool? Oh, I think I was pooling just so I could wait until my ultimate come up.
Yeah, you also you Zonya's too late, so you took the death mark, right? If you Zonya's before he actually finishes the jump, you don't even get the death mark, so that delayed
honestly,
damage.
I was expecting it to go off while I was in Zonya's. I was super surprised that happened.
I see. That's just a little mechanical mistake, I think, then.
Yeah. Okay, and also something that I noticed, and it happens sometimes. It's like you're supposed to get your heal back when you Zonya's, right?
What?
When if you ulti and then you Zonya's, you're supposed to get your heal back, right?
Well, your ults last for like 4 seconds, though. Your Zonya's last for 2.5.
Okay, so but if you're in Zonya's when your heal from your ulti,
you'll get healed.
I swear out of my mind that more than once it hasn't happened. So I don't know if there's like a certain if there's a timing thing to it, maybe, but I don't know. I swear that there are times when my ultis just don't go off. Like, do they go off when you die? Yeah, right?
Yeah. It does damage when you die. I don't know what it is. It might just be that you're taking damage at the same time you're getting healing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, whatever. Do you want to go over that fight again, or is it just move on?
Well, the main issue I saw, you were positioned a little like suboptimally towards the top side of the lane. You would have want to played it more towards the bot if you thought that Kazakhs was top. But then also you would have want to have saved your pool for the Zed ultimate. There's no reason to use it until he shoots ulti at you.
Yeah.
You did have stopwatch there. You accounted for that when you use the pool. It's just you don't have to burn your stopwatch so like freely because you would have won that trade without using stopwatch. You just
and I think actually if I in a perfect world, if I hit the E, right, and I pulled his ulti properly, I should have killed him.
Yeah, but you have to think you don't have to use the E like that anyways. If you just wait for him to ult you, you can E pool hit it 100%. If you walk at him while you're channeling this big circle, he's gonna see it coming, right?
Yeah.
So there were ways you could use the abilities to make them undodgeable.
Okay. Yep.
Sir, is that you? 1 second. Can you pause? My dog's like getting into something. All right, we're good. Let's go.
I was saying something. I don't know what I was going to say there. So do you use your E to trade, or do you just save it?
Use it to trade. More times than not, I use it to like shove the wave if I want to.
Okay.
The thing we were talking about earlier about attack on mana, right? If you push, people are gonna have to start using abilities on the wave. Like think the Xerath matchup, right? If you can get it pushing into him, he's gonna start using his Q on the wave.
Instead of poking you, yeah.
Yeah. And that can be advantageous, you know. But of course, you will use it to trade, especially in these melee matchups, because it's like another ability you can use to zone them off the wave.
Because a full charge E is like an empowered Q, right?
Yeah.
Is it pretty close?
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially level 2. Really strong. I also use the E sometimes just to like extend the empowered thing, because some people still like don't get it. That when you channel E, you get the empowered Q for longer. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, so when you have the red meter, right, for your empowered Q, right?
Yeah.
If you channel E, it pauses that meter.
Oh.
If you
I
use
never noticed
pool,
that.
it pauses that meter. If you use Zonias, it pauses that meter. So, the more you know.
Yeah. What was I gonna say?
That's why the Vlad combo is get empowered Q and then charge E, so that it just pauses the meter, and then you flash empowered Q ulti.
I was thinking about something. Okay, your ulti. My friend seems to think this is a thing, but it doesn't say it anywhere on his ultimate. Is your ultimate work like a Z ulti? Does it do more damage if you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, does that have anything to do with that? Because I think it doesn't. I've never.
No, it amps up all your damage by 10%, right?
Oh, your ulti amps your damage up.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Z ult in that way, and that increases your damage. It's just it's not delayed. It's just you get 10% more damage, right? It's a debuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay, do you want me to jump back there?
Nah, you just overextended. You went too aggressive, right? And you just died. You got ganked. You had no vision up. You also had 2 warding trinkets up. You should have, had them somewhere, right? But we can watch it again if you want. Okay, so wait. Okay, so can you pause? Because I wanted to finish this. Okay, so Vlad Ultimate, it puts a mark on them. While they have the mark on them, they take increased damage from all sources. So not just you, from everyone. And then when it expires, the damage of the Vlad ult also gets amped up by the Vlad ult increased damage. So
okay.
it's kind of
makes your ult stronger.
Yeah, your ult makes your ult stronger.
But that's really okay. That's anyways, okay, so that actually I don't know if that does that say that on the description of it?
Yeah, if you go on the wiki, it'll say that. So like the ratio, instead of being like 0.8 or whatever, it's actually 0.88 because it's amped up by 10%, right? By the ult.
Okay. That's probably, if I have taken that into account, I probably would have gotten a lot more kills that walked away from me.
Yeah.
That happens to me all the time when you ult someone and you swear to God they're dead, they walk away and they're out of thing and they had like 2 health and the ult just goes off and they don't die. That happens to me all the time. Like every time okay, all I have to do is just E flash Q ult or something like that, and then they just survive. If I like E alt flat Q, they probably would have died.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just unlucky for me that happens a lot when they walk away with like 2 ult.
Okay, so you see the position of this lane here, right? You got 4 minions, he's got 2. The lane's gonna just by default push towards him, So this is a time you'd want to, try and ward. Can you play? We can also look at Zed's movements to maybe see the gank coming. So you have to think, why is he suddenly playing aggressive like this now?
I definitely shouldn't have pulled there too. I think I could have survived that as well.
Yeah, you could have pulled the ulti.
But I was thinking he was gonna have enough damage. If I didn't pull to dodge something, I think he would have just killed me without the ulti. Without the pull, sorry. I don't know.
Yeah, but your pool didn't block anything, you know?
I know. Yeah.
But like if
So
he
yeah,
flashed on top of you, then maybe you could have pooled. If you were like low enough to get lethal, right?
how do you okay? When you go to dodge a Zed like dead, he EQ try to go for an EQ. Where do you normally
What, when
walk
he
to?
throws the shadow and then the shuriken?
Yeah, where do you walk to juke it? Because I kind of walk diagonally in, and I mean it. I feel like it works sometimes,
I
but
mean,
also you're
different
moving
players are
up.
going to throw abilities different ways. After laning against him for a little bit, you're going to get a feel for how he likes to throw his shuriken, and then you'll
Okay.
dodge accordingly. You know?
Hmm. Okay.
Um,
So it's
so it wouldn't be like very useful to see like how this player like uses Zed shuriken because like you play against someone else, they're going to play Zed a different way, right?
hmm.
But the best thing to do is just try and identify like how does he throw the shuriken? Does he like overcompensate for my dodge, or does he just throw it straight at me, or does he try and hit the minion wave too, or what? Like, and try and notice the patterns, and then you'll know how to dodge his abilities better. You know, like in fighting games, how they try and condition people to do something, and then when it matters, they change up the way they're playing. That
I
doesn't
guess
really happen
I
in
don't.
Halo.
I don't play.
Oh, I see. Um,
Yeah, this is like a free thing. It happens here. I don't know. You want to do drag? I don't know if it was a good time. I didn't. I didn't really feel like it was a good time to do it. Um,
I mean, it's Udyr, he can solo it. You don't have to worry about him.
that's also what I was thinking. Like if it could have been done, he could do it himself.
Udyr's strong. He went like this AP Udyr thing.
The only time in the game I pulled properly.
Okay, so you wanna get out of mid lane now. You wanna go bot. You see, it's devolving in ARAM now, right?
Yeah.
Just get into the side lane. You know what I mean? Start pressuring that bot tower because you don't want to share gold. Vladimir needs gold, right? So in the future, you would ping Jinx mid, and you would just type in Jinx go mid or something like that, right?
That was honestly right. What just happened tilted the fuck out of me because somehow I missed my cue.
Yeah.
Like I clicked, my mouse was like a smidge behind him when he jumped on me.
Yeah.
That's how you know I'm boosted. So there you go. I'm bad.
Okay, but do you understand why you want to go bot?
Yeah.
Okay, and also think if you don't go bot and you stay mid and Jinx goes bot, what's going to happen when Zed goes bot? Because that's what he naturally wants to do. Like in like ideal situation, Zed's also going to be going to the side lane, right? What happens if Zed runs into a Jinx?
Oh, free kill.
Yeah.
So he just gets while I'm sitting mid with other people, he's getting solo farm and
Exactly. You've got to notice this rotation. I wrote about this in a what is it the Frost Queen's Claim Vladimir post about how at like 11, 12 minutes or whatever, there's a lane swap between bot and mid, and that's what happened, right? And you just want to make sure you're in the side lane for like the next 8 minutes or so until Baron spawns, right?
Okay. So I feel like I don't know. I've heard two different theories, like kind of ideas where like some people are like, because like sure I can go bot lane right and get the farm,
Uh-huh.
but what happens when like if we're playing 5v5 ERM,
Uh-huh.
like mid lane and then something happens, there's a higher potential for the game just to sway one way. Like if team fight were actually pop off,
At 12 minutes?
well, I mean everyone was pretty much mid lane there.
I know, but what happens if a team fight goes bad, right? Like there's no Baron to take.
Hmm.
You're going to be putting more pressure on average, right? Just by being bot lane because you're going to get solo farm. You're also going to get tower pressure if no one answers you. You're talking about the situation where they have 5 mid and you have 4 mid, right? And you lose the fight off of that, right?
Well, not just that, but I feel like there's definitely an opportunity to pick up some golden experience just by getting a kill or something. Like, because
Yeah, but
it's
there's
bound to
opportunity to
happen.
pick up golden experience by killing the fucking minions in bot lane.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's always going to be more consistent to play like that. It's just a rotation you have to do, or you're going to not be as ahead as you could be, right?
Okay.
Um, yeah. The only situation you don't want to do a rotation like that is when you absolutely cannot fight someone. Like, let's say there's like a 6-0 Aurelia that's split pushing as well, and there's like nothing you can do about it, right? Then you'll just stay grouped, you know?
Yeah, and just
Because in that situation, it would be like you were the Jinx in bot lane that Sid just ran into, right? If you were
yeah.
trying to split against like a super strong duelist that got ahead, like Aurelia or Camille sometimes, right?
So I'll just try to make a 5v4 happen, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be able to split there, you know.
Hmm.
But in this game, you would want to do that. You would want to split because there is nobody who can really just like beat to death 100% of the time. Like this game is kind of like slowing down because this is the mid game where most people like at this rank don't know exactly what they're supposed to be doing because there's no dragon up and there's the outer towers are pretty much going down. So can we like speed it up? See what happens. Okay, so ideally, what you want to do is you want to shot call your bot lane to go mid and start pressuring that mid tower, and you go bot lane, right? Because you don't have much solo like tower pressure on mid, right? But Jinx Vigar would, as well as it's kind of safer for them to be there too at this point in the game. And I would so what I would have done, I would have gone bot. I would have used spellbook to swap to ghost flash, right? And that gives you the most safety in the split push. Of course, if your bot lane doesn't listen to your shot calling about the lane swap, then just stay mid, but try to like make sure to shot call that every time, anyways.
Is that only the case? Like, what if like my bot lane is um, like behind?
Behind, it's still the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's still the same thing. If they're ahead, they should be doing that lane swap like really early on. It's pretty meta, at least like in higher ranks. If for instance you have like let's say a really like high tower pressure bot lane like uh and what are the good support? Let's say you have Janna, Caitlyn, or something, right? A really like solid lane,
Hmm.
and they take their tower in like 6 minutes because they're laning against like kind of an abusable laning phase, like a Vayne plus something weird like a Vicar support or something. Um, they take their tower at like 6 minutes. Those players are naturally going to want to rotate to top or mid lane, right?
Hmm.
And you'll see that in like the competitive, like the pro play and the LCS and all that, right? Where they lane swap with top really early on
Yeah. Like if
after they
bot
take
lane
the
wins
tower.
lane,
Yeah,
like they
they'll
can
lane
just swap
swap
to
right
top
when they
and
get the tower.
almost auto win. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they'll just basically take all the towers within like 3 or 4 minutes of that, and they pull like a 3.5K gold lead off of that. So that's kind of what you want to do. You wanted to swap your bot lane mid. They already had the tower, or they didn't already have the tower, but they would get the mid tower, and then you can just pressure the bot lane.
Okay, so essentially the rest of the game is just we just snowballed and snowball and win.
Okay, we want to like speed up.
Uh, What point do you start taking raptors?
You can take them whenever you have time.
Like, I mean, what, like, when
I
can you
like
actually
once
take
I have more points into my E, right? It's easier to take them.
them? I finally figured out the sweet spot where you can actually hit them all with your E.
Okay.
But it makes it easier knowing that. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not an unknown thing,
I
but
mean, you can just queue like the big raptor or something and let them all clump around you and you'll hit them all with the E.
true.
Yeah. All right, you guys got it. You just push the lanes. How you do it? Oh, so yeah, I've actually played against Udyrs you can't split against. So like, if this Udyr were on the enemy team and maybe he didn't have a frozen mallet, but he had like he didn't have a frozen heart, but he had like a Trinity Force or something, and he wasn't going AP. I don't like you can't fight him, right? And he can just run you down because he's Udyr. He moves it like really fast.
Yeah.
Then you can't split against that, right? Because he'll just catch you, or you'll have to be really careful about splitting if you're going to make that.
Just run you down.
Yeah. All right. Seems like pretty over.
Kind of just wanted you to see me win a game for once. Just let you know that it happens sometimes. I don't just go 1-8 in lane all the time. But I definitely think that probably just wasn't that good.
I mean, it's a hard matchup for Zed. You know, like it's very difficult to get any lead on Vladimir.
Okay. So do you want to just re-go over that then, or should I have not exited?
We can do
I don't really think I have another one. I forgot that we were almost able to do two. I forgot that we were talking about that. Unless we want to go to like a normal game that I have.
I mean, we are 50 minutes in.
Yeah. Okay.
We can go over that attack on mana stuff if you think that would be useful. Or if you have ideas on what to do, we can talk about specific matchups if you have hard time with certain matchups.
Yeah. Okay. How about Malzahar? I usually insta ban him because it's just too hard to deal with, anyways. So
yeah. He's difficult, that's for sure, because his ultimate is insane gank setup, right? If he just ults you and the jungler ganks, you're pretty much dead, right? So the general strategy on Malzahar, or as Vladimir against Malzahar, is you will want to do like the attack on mana where you try and burn his abilities. You try and play around his mana bar more than his health bar or anything, right? And what he's going to do, level 1, how he wants to approach that lane is every time you walk up, he throws the E on you, And then level 2, he throws the E on you, and then he uses the Q to reset the E. And just really annoying poke like that. But then he just kind of wants to start pushing into you and farm until 6.
How do you dodge the E? Like, when is it actually it's kind of weird for me. I couldn't actually figure out when it actually hits you. Like, does he can you dodge it, or is it when it lands directly on top of you? Is that when it actually affects
which ability?
You, or his E, the one that looks like the gate.
Oh, the gate. Okay, that's his Q, and it has a half-second delay before it fires.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a Cho'Gath knockup in a way.
Okay, so is it just in a line of effect then, or is it like sort of a small circle, or not a small circle, but like an oval? I guess. Like, is it
It hits in a line. It hits kind of like a Jace gate, right?
okay? Yeah.
After
Okay.
half a second, it'll like hit everything in that line.
Okay. Um, and you essentially just don't really have too much kill pressure on him unless he, because you almost
Yeah.
have to do.
It's hard to kill the dude because of his stupid shield.
Yeah.
Because when you like, he could be in combo range, right? But the shield just will absorb too much damage, and you can't just flash in and combo him because then your entire combo got absorbed by the shield because you do it within like 0.25 seconds, right?
I guess the only thing you can do is like you can proto.
So the way you actually beat him, right? You can't actually solo kill him unless he makes mistakes, right? You can always get like the flash ignite solo kill if he plays like a bonobo and takes too much poke, right? So your general strategy with laning against Malzahar is every time he uses his W and summons all those little crabs, you kill them. You kill them as soon as possible, right? So your auto attack 100% kills crabs. Every auto attack and single target ability does 100% of a crab's health. So you just want to kill them all. Like if you have E, just channel E, hit all the crabs, kill them. And that will make the lane like a lot easier for you to just farm without like having to be under tower the entire time and lose all of your lane priority. So you want to make sure you kill all of the crabs, and you really just need to survive the lane because once he's level 6, you really need to respect his ultimate. But it's very difficult to play around it anyways because like he can just flash ult you, right? And that adds a whole new aspect to your positioning that you have to think about, especially against invisible champions, like let's say like Kha'Zix or Evelynn, where you can't really see them coming, but you know if Malzahar ults you, then you're just screwed, right? So that's when it gets really silly. So you're really just trying to look for a way out of that lane at that point, and you really and that's when the 11-minute lane swap really comes in, right? If your bot lane's winning or something, you want to swap against the Malzahar because Malzahar doesn't work very well in a 2v1 situation, right? But also yeah,
he's he focuses one person.
yeah, but also he doesn't want to be in the side lanes either. He wants to be in the mid because when you have a pushing lane, it's the best area to break open is the mid tower, right? Because it opens up most area on the map. So you really need to just try and farm and even get a farm lead. You actually can get a farm lead on Malzahar as Vladimir just by making sure you deny all of his voidlings, make it to where he has to basically auto attack for all of his last hits, and you can use your abilities on the wave and the minions, right? And you'll pull out a CS advantage, and then once it hits that 11 minutes, you need to call the lane swap and leave, right? That's how you'll beat him. It's actually in that rotation. Unless you just snowballed on him, of course, right?
But that's not really expected. That's just
yeah. You can't like go into every matchup like I'm going to just destroy this guy, unless you're like smurfing. But does that make sense?
Yeah.
I would say that the key in that matchup is the lane swap.
And then champions that just like to shove you in, so like Orianna, Talia.
Yeah. Talia, the trick to that matchup is actually in the way you're moving during the trade, because the way her Q works is like a Lucian ult, right? She channels it sort of.
Yeah.
And she can't like change where it's shooting. So the way you want to move trade into Talia is you move towards her and diagonal down, right? Or diagonal up, right? Where you're moving towards her at a diagonal and she can't do much. Especially in the early levels, the Q cooldown is pretty high, or at least it's a respectable like 4 seconds of window where you can hit her. And so you want to, when she goes for like a Q on you, she uses the Q and the E, you trade down and move towards her. hit her with the auto attacks in your Q, channel E. You'll win the trade if you do that, right? As long as you don't get hit by her little knock up into her stones, you'll win the trade. So that's Talia. The issue with Talia is that she gets free backs, right? Because she can just use her movement speed passive to get back in a lane. That's where like a good player will squeeze advantage out of Talia, is through that aspect of her kit. So yeah, and then what was it, Oriana?
Yeah, I was thinking that would just be sort of you focusing on her mana.
Yeah, you really need to play around her mana, because if she has mana, she just outtrades you every time, right? That's where it gets really hard. Just try and make her burn mana on the wave every time you can. If you can just keep autoing. A lot of these mages that are really good at pushing, just try and just just straight up auto attack the wave over and over again. You get as many hits on the minions as you can to get it pushing, and try and use your abilities on the enemy laner. But if you need to use it on the wave to get it pushing, then do that, right? If you can establish a pushing wave against those champions, you shouldn't be able to as Vladimir, but you will be able to a lot because other people won't be thinking that hard about it. You can come out a lane ahead without killing them at all, right? So it's a very consistent way to do it. One thing that Apto does into like Oriana matchup and all that on Vladimir is, as the minions are walking into lane, like he'll walk up to like the enemy tower, right, just outside of tower range, and he'll start hitting the minions as they walk into lane, you know, to get like an extra 3 or 4 autos before they collapse together. So that's something you can do. Other than that, Oriana is kind of difficult, but again, with the rotation, playing against control mages at all, just the rotation going from mid to bot, they really struggle leaving mid lane, you know? Have you ever seen an Oriana leave mid lane? Like, it's not very scary anymore.
No. I mean, unless they can just one-shot people, but
yeah,
that doesn't matter at that point. Yeah. Are you worried about like going for roam plays when you're playing Vlad mid lane?
Going for roams?
Like, I mean, if it's a parent, like it's a free, but are you actually trying to get your lead by roaming when you're playing Vladimir, or are you more focusing on
I only try and squeeze out some advantage through roams when my enemy laner has completely given up on lane priority. In other words, they've conceded pushing the wave in order to just secure farm for themselves. In those situations where they just like let you push them in and they give up CS just in order to get to like salvage some farm, right? That's when you can really just leave lane and go like invade the enemy jungle, or even maybe go bot lane, especially with something like Frost Queen's Claim, where you have you know, like the spooky ghosts or even ghost, right, to catch up to them.
Are you talking about the enemy is pushed up to your AD carry's tower, or the opposite?
No, where you just stomp the lane. Like, let's say you killed, let's say you solo killed the Zed like 3 times or like 2 times, you know, something like that, and he's just like, okay, I'm playing under tower, my whole team's flaming me, I'm just gonna try and, you know, huddle up and then get to mid game. Like, that's when you can like roam, right? Once you push him in and he's like just trying to keep it there and you know, just make it through, then you can start roaming. Or against champions like Vigar or something, where they don't have much pushing power, and they auto lose and you get like a kill on them. Or especially if you get mid tower. Some matchups you will take mid tower against them. So if you get mid tower, that's also a time when you can roam. You can try and go bot lane, because then you have more time, because it won't bounce back towards you as fast.
If you lose your tower early, do you just try to freeze it at your tower, or is that just really bad?
No, you just keep pushing.
Yeah?
You just keep pushing and put more pressure on the map. The trick is just to not die. To get ganked and not die. Like, you don't even have to get any kills. Just as long as you're farming and you get ganked and you don't die, your team's going to start winning the map.
Okay. So I guess just like things to improve on from this game then.
Yeah.
Did you notice anything better from the last ones, or like?
So some of the things we went over at the towards the beginning was the jungler, right? You have to think about how the jungler is going to influence your matchups, how the 2v2 between the mid in their jungle versus you and your jungle, how that's going to go, and where the jungler is going to be positioning on. I'll get you that spreadsheet, right? With that has the times. Of course, it's going to be from last season, but it'll still be pretty close, right?
Okay.
So you want to start thinking more about where the jungler is going to be, your positioning in lane according to the enemy jungler, because you've played a lot of Vladimir. You don't generally how the matchups go between you and the person you're laning against.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to start accounting for the other people on the map. So the jungler, and then maybe in the future the support roaming and affecting your lane. So that's something to work on, as well as the rotation. You're still not doing the rotation very well. What I mean, like going into the side lanes, you still kind of conform to the ARAM playstyle a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. My one buddy put this in my head. He was in Diamond, I guess, but that doesn't mean shit. But he always put in my head, herd the sheep, or like herd the. I don't know if he said herd the sheep or ride the bull. Whereas you pretty much just fucking just grab your teammates and just push for like one objective all together, or if they're already doing it, just go along with them. So I don't know. I guess that's definitely a mindset that can backfire though too.
Oh, you don't always want to group, right? Vladimir is like one of his biggest win conditions is split pushing. So what's really good about Vlad though is that he can group and split push. Some champions don't have that like liberty. Like for instance, Zed, he does kind of well in the mid game in like these 3v3 situations, but in a 5v5, Zed can't really enter that fight. You know, he needs to sit in the side lane and split. Same with like Irelia, you know, she's good in like a 3v3, or Camille good into a 3v3, but then you put them in 5v5s, they can't do anything. Vladimir can. You know, Vladimir can blow up like 2 people in the back line and then get out, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then he could also split push. Of course, he's not as strong of a split pusher as some champions, unless he's ahead. Like, let's say Irelia is kind of hard to deal with.
But he does the job, right?
Yeah.
He's not Tryndamere, but
I mean, he's better splitting than Tryndamere, I'd say. He can just beat up Tryndamere. Yeah.
But Tryndamere can't die. He's unkillable.
What do you mean?
Said him himself. He counters everybody. He just can't die.
He can't die for 5 seconds.
Yeah, he went.
I mean, Vladimir can't die for 5 seconds. You have 2.5 seconds in your pool and 2.5 seconds in Zonias. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, I guess. Oh yeah. See,
yeah.
That's what I say to my friends. Like, it's like, man, I just died. I'm like, well, why didn't you just pool? That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Do you think it'd be worth it for me to just keep playing Vlad? Because like, or do you think I should throw in another champion? Because
you should definitely have some backups in case Vlad's banned or you're autofilled.
My main, like my biggest one for the most time was Swain. Like he was like my bread and butter for top lane. Like that's pretty much how I got the platinum, was playing him. I was like playing him mid and top, but I feel like he's kind of garbage and he's getting reworked anyway. So he's kind of my other champion.
Swain?
Yeah, Quas got me into him.
All right.
Pretty hard. Then also because I was most of my time playing this game, I've spent top lane. So I've Irelia and Jace. My other two big champions, but it's just that I don't like to play Vlad top too much, so I don't pick top as my priority. So usually I end up getting mid.
Okay, so let's just go really quick. I posted the tier list. This is for Diamond, but like this will work for finding a champion. So you go mid lane and Vladimir's banned. What do you pick? Do you see the list I post? I also posted the spreadsheet just above.
I probably would pick Swain.
Okay, you pick Swain. Fine.
I can manage it. Like it's not that strong, but like I know enough about Swain. Like
All
that
right.
I can get through the lane.
That's an okay pick. I mean, Swain's never banned. He's almost never picked, so you should be able to get it, you know, as a secondary if you like. So that's for top lane and mid, you'd say.
Yeah,
Vladimir primary, Swain secondary.
but he's obviously. I just even as Swing goes, I don't think he's as strong as he was like.
Okay.
Even a few
So what
matches
happens
ago.
if you get Phil jungler? Do you dodge or what do you pick?
Jungle? Sure, that's kind of a mistake. Like I can
Do you just dodge? Because you can do that.
at a platinum level. Yeah, it's not gonna. Honestly, I'd feel bad if I had myself as jungle.
I mean, so what do you do? Do you dodge or do you pick something?
Yeah, I'd dodge.
Okay. What about AD carry?
I'd probably go something. I mean, I'd want to play Vayne, but I just feed probably. So I'd probably just pick something safe like MF or Sivir.
Yeah,
then, like,
I
all
wouldn't
MF
pick
just all
Sivir,
feed.
but MF is really nice. Yeah, if you can get Ezreal or MF, is really good.
Like MF, honestly, like she as long as she just throws her ultimate out, she's
Yeah, she's pretty solid regardless. Do you play Varus?
Yeah, I know how to play him.
Yeah.
Play him, yeah.
It's just the problem is if you go for like Ezreal MF or even just MF, she gets picked and banned like quite a bit. So
yeah,
it's hard
did I
to
say
go
Ezreal?
into. Huh?
Did I say Israel?
No, I'm just recommending Ezreal because he's like overpowered. If anybody can play Ezreal, you just bring Kleptomancy, and then you won the game already. But yeah, then if you can't get MF, Varus is a champion that's hardly ever picked or banned, but he's quite good for like the for like an autofilled player, right? Because you have the ultimate, which is really nice for just you know, starting fights or even peeling yourself with the big AoE snare.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you just go lethality and shoot arrows from like across the map that deal like 30% of people's health. It's not fun. And what about support?
Oh yeah, that's where I'm. I think I'm not too bad with Thresh, so I would say like Thresh or probably Jaina. If honestly, if I if I really wanted to play safe, I would just play Jaina. Like
Okay.
I'd say I'm more likely to pick Jaina.
All right.
Because my Thresh is sometimes it's just godly hooks, and then other times it's just I feel like I never played Thresh before, so it's like on and off.
Just write this all down.
I'm also like a really big Aurelia player, but I haven't played her since the rework or since the all new mastery things. So,
Aurelia?
Yeah, I'm not like super up to date with her. But
You can
like,
play her top. She's pretty good.
She's like, I would say she's my third best champion for sure. It usually takes me a game or two to get the feel back for her, but.
Okay, so that list looks good to you, the one I just wrote down. I put Varus in there just because Ezreal, and there are a lot of games where Ezreal and MF are either picked or banned.
And you're saying no Sivir?
No Sivir.
No? And
no, she's not very good. Yeah, I think you should be able to get John at like every game, right?
Yeah, so Thresh is putting myself out there a bit too much.
Yeah, Thresh is a little high variance because unless you're like good at Thresh, it's hard to make your stuff guaranteed, right?
Mm.
You know, there's like there aren't.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Thresh is more of a support main character.
I guess so. But yeah. I guess that's a way to put it.
Are you should I? So okay, those are champions I know how to play. Do you think it's actually worth putting more time into another champion?
I mean, maybe if you want
to, it's Vladimir.
Similar to Vlad.
Like, okay, so like I know how to play a lot of the, I would say older millennials, like you know, like the standard mid laners. So like Oriana, Ari, Victor, Syndra. Like I understand their kit. So, but like I don't know. Like I usually don't play the new champions that come out. But do you think it'd be worth putting more time into something else?
I mean, not for climbing unless you plan on learning one of the top tier champions, right?
Yeah.
So if you wanted, for instance, to learn Camille or Ornn or something, then yeah, you could. It'd be worth playing them because they're very strong. They're going to be strong for a while. Um, or like learning Xerath or something for mid lane. It'd be very worthwhile learning a champion like that if you're trying to climb. Like in the long run, right? You're going to lose games in the short term to learn the champion.
Like my idea was like at first is just play Vladimir because he doesn't require that really big mechanics. Like he's pretty simple.
Okay.
Besides for a few things, and then it allows me just to focus on my macro and matchups and get like actually understand the game at a higher level.
Okay.
Instead of having to worry about RE mechanics and or just more complicated stuff. Because like I can be like mechanical, but I find that since I've been playing champs like Swain and Vladimir, I don't really like. There's not many skill shots to land. Like I can land a pretty darn good Swain snares, but yeah, that's as far as it goes.
Yeah, I would say if you're just trying to climb, don't learn new champions. And if you want to learn new champions, look at the list, learn the ones in orange, right at the top. Those would be the best ones to play. Ideally.
I actually have a ethical and moral dilemma to play Zoe. I just can't do it.
Okay. Well, there's Xerath as well.
Yeah. Okay. Saying I don't think she's. I don't know. I feel like you'd be doing Satan worship.
I see. Well, that's about it for this session.
Can I just waste a bit more of your time?
I mean, if you like, sure.
No, I was kidding. Okay. Okay. One last question. So, do you think would you rather play Swain mid or top then? Like, because like I said, Vlad, right? Yeah, Vlad.
Swain top is better because you're gonna get into more melee matchups that you can abuse.
Mm-hmm. So if my two mains, like taking into account Swain, I don't know how the rework's going to affect him. Maybe he's going to become more of a mid laner like the old Swain. But do you think, since Swain is my second go, do you think I should put top as my priority more?
No. Vlad mid is better.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's
Even
a lot
if
better.
Swain mid is worse?
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, that's it. I'm done. You're released.
All right, then, man. Have a good one.
Yep, your $5 has been.
All right, cool.
Okay, see you.